Hello and welcome to Marinsky March 2023, where every day in March we make a sausage recipe out of one of Adam and Stanley Marinsky's books. Last year we did home production of quality meats and sausage, which I think is one of the best sausage books out there still. It gives you the how and why behind what you're doing in sausage making. But this year we're doing recipes out of the new book, 1001 Greatest Sausage Recipes, which is a gift to us sausage makers and meat enthusiasts. Adam and Stan have traveled across Europe and North America for the last 20 years compiling recipes, and they put it all into this jumbo book. What's even better is Stanley has sent me 5 copies to give away to you guys over the course of the month, and all you got to do to get qualified is leave a comment in the videos and I'll find you and I'll send you a copy if you're one of the lucky winners. So, without any further ado, let's get into 1001 Greatest Sausage Recipes by Adam and Stanley Marinsky. Welcome to a bloody episode of Marinsky March 2023, where in this episode we're making a blood sausage. Which blood sausage? Well, it is the blood sausage from page 514 of 1001 Greatest Sausage Recipes. It's the Jelito Czech sausage. Jelito is a traditional Czech blood sausage prepared with pig's blood and ground pork meat, mainly head, belly, and offal. Offal being organs and things. It incorporates lard and various spices such as marjoram and cumin, which is pretty cool. You don't see cumin in many blood sausages. Many gelato variations also consist of grains or plain white buns, which result in a firmer texture. Since it is a non-smoked sausage, it is traditionally boiled or fried before it's served alongside potatoes, pickles, mustard, horseradish, and cabbage. Sounds good. Blood sausages aren't super popular or as popular in North America as they are in Europe, probably stemming from war times when you had a pig and there was no central distribution systems. You used every little part of that pig, including the blood and fat, to make sausages. Blood sausage is really good for you, really high in iron. So what we're going to do is we're going to get everything prepped, stuff it, and taste it. So what we got to do first is simmer the meat trimmings, which is pork jowls and pork trim, until soft. And then we'll cook some barley and get it all in there. So I got a pork jowl right here. I need a little bit of pork trim. We'll get this guy ready first. Cut him in some strips, get him ready for poaching. And if you guys don't know what the pork jowl is, it's kind of this portion right here on the pig. Kind of like the cheek almost. 256, a little extra. And I'll grab some pork trim. All right, I'm gonna grab that 100 grams of pork trim off of a lovely, lovely pork butt. Don't need very much. All right, that's all we need. We'll save you for later today, Mr. Pork Butt. Now let's cook it. Step 1 to cooking is fire. Poof. Cooking pan, water, and lastly, our meat. See you in a few. And while this is poaching, I'm gonna get the barley started and the onions. All right, there's the barley boiling away. Oh, we're fogging up. Jelito Czech barley in some stock. All right, got a little cooked barley, which I'm gonna stick in the cooler because you don't want to have hot food going into your sausages. Presents potential food safety issues. So we're gonna cool this barley down. All right, prep our onion here for the Jelito Czech. We only need 50 grams. Don't need very much. Some fresh white onion, diced up, and then fried lightly. Get our pan prepped for the Jelito. A little fat cooked into the pan here. All right, goodbye fat. Thanks for your help. Hello, onions. All right, yellow onions, check. Look pretty good. All right, is our meat soft? It looks pretty soft. It's been simmering at that temperature for about 45 minutes, so I think that's good enough. We're gonna pull it out and cool it down. This little piggy went to blood sausage. This little piggy did too. This little piggy is gonna get ground up. This little piggy is too. And this little piggy is the pork trim. And this little piggy is too. All right, and while everything's cooling down, we will measure out our blood, which Blake collected for me on a farm kill. into this ice cream pail. And this is where I will lose my grandma. Thanks for watching up to this point, Grandma, and anyone else who's squeamish. That's a little coagulated, so you just kind of mix it up. You don't want just the lumps, you want the whole thing. It's also a little bit frozen because I got it a couple weeks ago and stuck it in the freezer. It will require a bit of stirring, maybe even mashing. Oh yeah, that's the ticket. Potato masher, your clotted blood. Okay, there's our blood mashed up. So we need 350 grams, 250 grams of blood for this sausage. Bloody, perfect. There we go. Till next time, bucket of blood. Okay, so we got our blood measured out. Now the next step is to cut that meat into little chunks and then mix everything together and stuff it. All right, we're gonna cut this up. I think alternatively, you could probably run it through a grinder. But oh yeah, that's pretty nice and soft. Cuts super easy. Cooked all the way through for sure. If you had your grinder dirty already today, I think I would just run this through the grinder on a coarse plate. Maybe 3/16 or something like that. So I know that's not that coarse, but there's some smaller chunks of fatty pork meat and jowls. There we go, into our bowl of blood. Onions. There they are, cooled off into the blood. Nice. Spices into the blood. You know what? I read in the description that this one, some of these recipes have cumin in it, and then this one doesn't have cumin. I'm so disappointed. I'm pretty tempted to stick it in when I stick to the recipe. Still smells quite good. Again, this recipe is on page 514. Now I'm just gonna weigh out some barley. It's gonna be quite a bit of barley in this one. Barley in. Everything is now in. Glove on and mix our gelato up. I actually like blood sausages. I'm looking forward to this. I've had one in like months and months. Smells quite good. Sweetness from the onions and some of those aromatic spices. I like this one because it's not too runny. Sometimes when you try to stuff blood sausages by yourself and there's more blood in it than this recipe has, they're a little bit difficult to stuff. But this blood is basically going to harden up during the poaching process and kind of bind all these chunks of meat that have been cooked already in onions and barley together. So let's get it in the stuffer. Okay. Preload the sausage casing with water and put it on the horn. Little tip for when making blood sausages. I don't do this with all sausages, but with blood sausages I do tie a little knot in the end of the casing because there's a fair bit of liquid content to it and it's going to want to run out as you stuff it. One last look at your blood mixture before it goes in. There you go, North Americans. How's that look? Smells good. Pack her down a little bit here. Can't really get the air pockets out of a blood sausage. And here we go. This one doesn't have a ton of blood, so it's not really leaking out bad yet. All right, there we are for the blood sausage. They're pretty difficult, kind of like awkward to stuff because it's so much liquid. I'm gonna pull some extra off for myself here so that I can tie a knot. There we go. And then they say they're usually tied into rings like so, and we're gonna poach it and fully cook it. All right, introducing new to the lineup this year, Roy the Red is what we call this thermometer. Roy Davis sent me this thermometer. One of you guys off YouTube, well, not one of you guys off YouTube, Roy Davis, who's seen us on YouTube, tracked me down and sent me this Thermapen. It's a wicked little thermometer. He doesn't work for Thermapen or anything like that. He said he really likes them, and he sent me one because he's a good guy. So thanks, Roy. I told you I'd give you a shout out. There it is. Check it out. They're supposed to be 175, which is 8 degrees Celsius. We're a little on the hot side, 188. Look how quick that Thermapen reads, which is okay. You don't want it boiling, otherwise you could pop and burst them, but I'll just turn it down a little bit. All right, they're gonna lose a little heat as you drop them in, so that's fine if it's a little bit over. And the next is the Czech Jelito. Pop him in there with them other blood sausages. Now, the book gives us times to cook all of these, but I'm gonna go by temperature. I'm gonna probe one of the Morrow galagas in about 35 minutes is what I'm gonna actually 45 minutes. I'm gonna leave him in there for 45 minutes and probe one. And if it's at 160, I'm happy. All right, we've been boiling for our set amount of time. Some of these look like they... Uh-oh, we have a blow up. Well, got it a little too warm during the cooking, that means. Okay, carefully removing the blood sausages so they don't break. You have to pay close attention when you're doing blood sausages. All right, the next morning has come round. Just trying some blood sausages before the guys show up. And here's the Jelito ring from the other day. Probably a blood sausage that I'm most used to out of all the ones we made this March. So I'll cut under her. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm used to seeing when I see a blood sausage. I always put a little pearl barley in mine. There, you can kind of see the pearl barley and chunks of fat in there. Looks pretty good. Peel our casing back. And I got a feeling this one's gonna be my favorite because it's what not because it's better, but because it's what I'm used to. The nice tender chunks of barley, fat, blood, a little bit of meat. Cheers. Yeah, that's for sure. I got one more to try, but the Jelito is the best so far. It's not too crazy for me. That's kind of like a signature blood sausage. It's kind of got like that creamy, smooth texture from the blood. Little chunks of barley are fun to find and chew on, and the meat in there is nice and tender, so that's a good one. If you want to make a blood sausage that I like, the Jelito is the one to do it. So, if you guys like blood sausages, or Marinsky March, or this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And thanks for watching, where we make a sausage every day for the month of March, Marinsky March. Thanks guys, take care. One more chunk. One more chunk for breakfast. It's 6 a.m. Ow.